In my high school, if you were a senior, you got 2 extra off periods. One was called senior privilege, where you basically just hung around in the library and you could do whatever you wanted. The other one was called senior release, and with senior release, it was basically senior privilege, except you could leave the school. Now, with senior release, you either got it on your first period, before or after your lunch period, or your 8th period. Now, I got it on my 8th period, so I was able to leave school early for the day. Unfortunately, I didn't and still don't have a car, so unless I got lucky and had a friend willing to take me home, which I often didn't, I was stuck in the school cafeteria. But then I eventually learned that a bus passed through the bus stop at the same time as my release, and my school ID gave me free bus rides anytime I wanted them. And it was at that point your favorite fella went mobile. And, this was pretty nice, but it wasn't really ideal. It took me about 30 minutes to get to the bus station, then I had to wait like 10 minutes for my next bus to roll in, then another 10 minutes to take a second bus to my last stop, and then 5 minutes to walk the rest of the way home. I only really ended up saving half an hour. But on the other hand, the city buses were much nicer than the school buses. School buses were built for capacity, but city buses were made for comfort. While kids on the school buses would need to awkwardly ask for someone to scooch over so that they could get a seat, I could place my backpack on the seat next to me. Plus, I didn't have to deal with the weird kids in the back. And once I got off the bus, if I had some time to kill, I could go to a restaurant, library, or grab a soda from the vending machine while I sat back, relaxed, and waited for my bus to roll in. And honestly, I've always wanted to feel like I was in a big city, Now, me personally, I'd never live in a place like Chicago or San Fran because I like being able to afford things and, I like being alive. But, being in the bus made me feel like I was in the middle of the hustle and bustle of the city. Now, a lot of people say that the people who ride the buses are weird. Me personally, I've never really had any run-ins with any weird people on the bus. I mean, everyone just seemed like a normal person trying to get home or into the city after a day at work. The weirdest I've ever really seen on the bus was some lady with a funny accent who talked way too loudly on her phone. Now, I never saw any weird people on the bus, but once we arrived at the station and we had to get off our buses, there were some odd people. Now, when I say odd, I'm not talking about people with disabilities who depend on public transportation because they're unable to drive. I'm talking about drunks, crackheads, stoners, carpet surfers. I mean, honestly, to pass the time, I'd guess the drugs that people were on. You could literally make a game show out of that, I bet. I think my favorite part about the bus station is that we usually had a cop inside of it at all times, and he clearly never wanted anything to do with anyone inside of the station. Like, he was never in the main lobby, he was always in, the side halls. I mean, I can't say that I blame him. Now, I've never had the misfortune of having to deal with the weirdos in the bus station. Everyone just seemed to keep to themselves. Maybe that was just the unspoken rule in my station. But I did have one run-in with this old-looking lady, very clearly drunk. I mean, she was holding an almost empty bottle of vodka, for God's sake, and for some reason she started talking to me about college of all things, and I could barely understand what she was saying because, well, drunk, and a bunch of people were looking at us, and I was looking around like, guys, help me, for God's sake, get me out of this. But I guess I had to take it for the team that time. So, but yeah, as sweet as the bus station is, I mean, honestly, it wasn't too bad. So, yeah, the bus was pretty good, I guess. Now, if you're sitting there asking what the point of this video was, there honestly really isn't one. I just wasted like 3 minutes of your life. Sucks for you, I guess. Friendly fella Jed, out.